Righto, hey guys, Tony here from Moocher Hunters. I figured I'd make a video about land-based softbaiting. It's been a technique that we've been focusing on for the last year or so, and we've had some awesome success with it. I've caught two of my biggest snapper, including an 80cm one off the rocks, and I mean that's after years and years of fishing with big baits, heavy gear, 2-hook rigs. So the soft baiting off the rocks has got massive potential, and we've been getting loads of questions about the gear we use, the areas that we target, and the types of soft baits and jig heads that we use. So I figured it's about time that we did a start to finish video looking at all of these different things. Hopefully this is going to help you to have more success yourselves. Answer any questions that you might have. If you do have success and you do have a go at soft baiting off the rocks and you catch some good fish, please tag us in your posts on Instagram, hashtag Moocher Hunters, but only of your catch and release ones. Okay, we're not interested at all in photos or videos where there's blood pouring out. We're only interested in catch and release. That's what we're all about. So let those big fish go, give the soft baiting off the rocks a go, and I'm sure you're going to love it. Anyway, let's get into it. Okay, so starting with the bag. Each of the Moocher Hunters, we have one of these Just Another Fisherman bags, and these are ideal for land-based fishing in general. They're completely waterproof, so it means that when you're rock hopping or you're having to jump across gaps, there's no worries about it getting wet. In fact, you can just pretty much float it across the surface and just push it to your mate. They're a perfect size too, so they fit all of your fishing gear, plus any wet weather, warm gear, your flask of coffee, your Yui boom, it all goes in here easily. These are pretty much made for a Moocher Hunter because they have the side little pouch for your Moocher mat and a strap here, so that tightens up. And that means that it's really handy to grab, and also it means that you know that you have it with you, because one of my biggest fears in fishing is finally catching a fish that's like 90 centimeters a meter and not having the Moocher mat. I think I'd shed a few tears if that happened. So yeah, really cool bags, Just Another Fisherman. Go check them out, they are well worth the money. First thing that goes in the bag for me is the filming gear. So the GoPro fully charged, heaps of room on the memory card. I like to use the chesty mount. I just find that the most comfortable and gives a really good perspective as well. Gets the reel in the shot, gets the background in too, the noise of the drag, etc. So some guys like to have it on their head with the head mount. I just find that annoying, and it just sort of, the thing flops around, and it means you have to wear your hat backwards. So yeah, chesty mount's the one for me. The other thing with a chesty mount is that because it's got this base, if you're fishing solo, you can go and put this on a rock behind you, angle the camera towards yourself, and then with this little gizmo, thanks to Brandon Smith, your legend, what you can do is you can have this in your pocket or just clipped onto your jacket, and when you ever want to record some action, you just push the button and the camera starts recording. So really handy for another perspective, another point of view. So that's the filming gear, plus my phone for the photos too. Alright, so the next thing is the fishing gear. Now, one of the best things about land-based softbaiting is you have to carry just next to no gear. It's super light, means you're super mobile, and you're not lugging around masses of gear like we used to in big tramping packs. So starting with the soft baits, the two shapes that we like to fish, one is the 7-inch jerk shads. These have been my go-to soft bait to use, especially in the red bone colour. And with these 7-inch lures, I will always fish, or not always, but in most circumstances I use a 1/4 ounce light bulb jig head with a 3-bar hook, and always the short shank, not a long shank. The reason is, I'll just show you quickly. With a long shank, your hook comes out there, which means you've only got that much of your lure left for the action, for the wiggle action. Whereas with the short shank lure, Okay, the lure pops out there, which means you've got that much more of the lure left over to give you the wiggleness, okay, which is what you're after. The other thing too is that these short shank lures give you a much better hookup rate, especially in these smaller hook sizes, not the big 5-bar. So the fish will usually hit up top here, and yeah, so you get a really good hookup and good wiggle factor too. The other shape that we like to use are the, where are they? The paddlers in the 4-inch and the 5-inch size. With the paddlers, we generally use a heavier jig head, so probably start with a 1/2 ounce. And the reason is that the heavier jig head creates more wiggle in the paddle tail. So the heavier you go, the more action you're going to get, pretty much. The only thing with these is that we work them back a bit quicker than we do with the jerk shads. So we'll let it drop, and then we'll think about where the bottom's lying, and we're trying to work it just above the kelp, all the way back to your feet. It's pretty cool watching a snapper follow your lure right to your feet and then hit it at the last second, which happens quite often. With these 7-inch jerk shads, I pretty much just fish the drop. So what I'm doing is I'm scoping out the area for any fishy looking zones, any whitewash, and I'm casting into those areas, and I'm just letting the lure sink. Alright, and you've got to be pretty confident with how long you can let it sink. Bit of trial and error. But that's often when you'll get the hit. So you've got to keep in touch with the lure, watch your line. If it straightens up, you know that a fish has taken it. And after the drop, I pretty much, call me lazy, but I pretty much just reel the thing in and then do it again. So that's with these lures here. So I'm just trying to drop it into different areas, letting it sink. If I get no hit, pretty much reeling it back and repeating the process. So that's with those lures there. Okay, and then as far as colours goes, I usually focus on the more natural colours. So my go-tos would be the red bone, number 1. New penny would be number 2. And really liking this new colour, the pinfish as well. It's pretty much like a Houdini colour, but it's got all these blue specks through here as well. So that one's been really good too. Definitely have some bruised bananas in there as well for good luck. Right, so that's the soft baits and the jig heads. The leader, we've been using this Daiwa J thread, and it's been proving really good. Great abrasion resistance, ties up your knots perfect, and I've been using the 30 pound, which seems to be perfect for off the rocks. If you get caught up in the kelp, if you're using 30 pound braid and 30 pound leader, you can pretty much just pull it through the kelp just about every time. So that's the leader we're using. If the fishing's really slow, sometimes we'll drop down to like a 16 pound just to try and entice the bite. But yeah, I'd always start with 30 pound. That would be my start. Other things to have in the bag, the secret sauce. On days when the snapper are on the chew, don't think it makes a massive difference, but certainly on the slow days, I would be putting this stuff on. This one is the pilchard flavour. I also use the mullet and the bloody tuna. Yeah, secret sauce. A light has got to be in the bag, and that is to finish off your FG knot in case you do bust off. So lighter in the bag. I always carry a light stick bait too, just in case there's a pack of kingies that turn up and they're not interested in a soft bait. This is the OTL Piper, and these come in at 40 grams, so you can pretty much fish these on most soft bait setups, which is ideal really. So yeah, always have a cheeky stick bait in there too. Right, then on to the actual weapon itself. So I've just scored myself, thanks to Daiwa, one of the brand new Surtates. Now, these reels look amazing. They're so light and compact and so smooth. Can't wait to use this. They've worked harder at making them more waterproof. So they're mag sealed, and they've also removed the stopper as well. So perfect for land-based fishing, because you know the likelihood of your reel getting wet is pretty high. So yeah, really waterproof, and they pretty much look bulletproof. They've got 12 kilos of drag as well, which is phenomenal for a little reel like this. But it's what you need to stop the bigger fish in amongst the fouly stuff. You really have to put the brakes on to turn their head to try and work them back towards you. Unlike boat soft baiting, where you can use the boat to try and sort of maneuver fish out or get over the top of fish, off the rocks there is a bit of sort of stand and heave with a bit of angling skill as well. So a reel with more drag is going to give you a much better chance of landing your fish. Okay, and then the rod. So the rod that I use is a TD Black Slugger, and the reasons I love this rod is the length of it. So it's 8 foot long, which gives you a really good cast, and it also gives you great leverage when you're trying to maneuver fish around any bommies and things in front of you. And it is, I guess, as far as a soft baiting rod, it's pretty heavy, but it is perfect for off the rocks. You get used to it really quickly, and yeah, it's just got lots of power, lots of grunt, and gives you a really good chance of again landing those fish. So that's the Slugger, TD Black Slugger. There's also Sammy uses a TD Black Supercaster, which is very similar to the Slugger. It's just a bit shorter, 7'6". So if you're more used to a shorter rod from the boat, you might want to look at something like that before maybe going longer. But yeah, that's the rod we use. Okay, so here we have all the gear. Just another Fisherman bag, the Moocher mat, the filming gear, the GoPro and the chesty with the remote, obviously the rod and the reel. Got the leader, the secret sauce, your jig heads, your soft baits. Don't forget the lighter, and then the all-important fish raiser, the coffee, and your Yui boom. And if you're lucky to have one of these, take that as well.